Sounds. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Eye Opener Society. Thank you again for tuning in on this kind of off beat kind of recording. This is the first time you're going to see me recording inside of my car. And the entire reason for this is I was setting everything up. There's a lot going on. And I was supposed to be doing this outdoors, kind of like our co host Hannah is and all. But nothing worked out because I had no cell phone signal for where I was. So I had to run back. So I'm doing this from my car in my parking lot, but that's okay. The podcast is still going to be amazing. Just want to give everybody a heads up that on Podbean now you can see the video, just in case you're wondering what we're talking about. If you actually want to see me sitting in my car hosting this, there's going to be two versions of the podcast. There will be an audio only for those of you who are traveling in your car and whatnot. And then there will be the video version found on Podbean. You could still find the videos on BitChute as well as YouTube. So I have two wonderful people here with me. I have Hannah Rose from The Sound Within, and I have Lizzie with me, my normal co-host. And we got together because I wanted to do a podcast based on a topic that's been bugging me for some time. So I'm just going to lay it out for everybody. Lately, I've been on TikTok and was comfortable with it for quite some time. I like to sit and watch some people, obviously, because I met two wonderful people. I met Lizzie and I met Hannah off of TikTok, and I've been amazed with everything that they've given me. So I'm, looking at other people's topics and I'm looking at other people's TikTok lives and whatnot. And what bothered me is not too long ago, I ran into this one girl who was doing something on stretching exercises that I found pretty interesting. I was like, oh, cool, because my back always hurts. And Lizzie sent me a bunch of stuff that I was working on. And I said, well, let me see what this girl's got. Now, the girl, she was just doing stretching exercises. And she obviously had clothes on. Just her belly was exposed. Nothing more than that. And the sexual comments that were coming across from her audience was almost mind-blowingly sickening, even from someone like me, born and raised in the Bronx, New York, who doesn't care, and I'm all down for locker room talk. But this was just not the place or time for it. Even though she handled it well, it's still, it took away the entire energy of her live stream, and I felt bad for that. Now, I wanted to bring this up to my two co-hosts because of the same thing. I'm going to turn it over to Lizzie because TikTok thinks that Lizzie is promoting smut because they took one of her Facebook, I'm sorry, not Facebook, but her TikTok recording and made it restricted to 18 and over because she was jumping on a bed saying, let your inner child out. And again, she was fully clothed. So I don't know what to make of this, but let me start with Lizzie. Lizzie, what is your feeling on this? Because I know you had mentioned that you don't want to be viewed or sexualized.
Well, okay, so I did what I always do in situations with life when things throw me a curveball, because obviously I was just jumping on the bed. I was having a time with my life. You can't see it on camera, but my 1-year-old was jumping on her bed right next to me. And so we're just having this beautiful moment and I share it. And then like it gets restricted and I'm like, what? And first my brain goes spiraling on all the ways I'm being perceived and all the ways that like I meant to be perceived. And did I behave? And then I'm like, wait, okay, slow down. So then I get back on the mindset that everything works out for a reason, right? And so then what would be this reason? Well, what it brought up for me was a lot of things about how I don't want to be perceived sexually. Because as a woman, once you're perceived that way, it's like you're put into a box. The information that you have, the vibe that you have, anything you have to offer is now through this like specific lens, which is really annoying, And so anyway, so this is something that I struggle with, I don't like, and I try to get away from. But when you put yourself out there on camera in public, the thing is people are going to perceive you however they want to perceive you, and you can't stop it. That's why this lady handled it so well, is because she's getting on there, stretching. She's wearing what she wants. She's not done, this isn't the first time she's done it. She knows what reaction she's going to get. She's chosen to not worry about it because it's not her business how other people perceive her. And truthfully, the more I can comprehend that, the more freedom I have. You know, I would love to get on TikTok and do some of the stretches and stuff that I do as I'm realigning my spine. It's making such cool energetic and physical connections and embodying. But it's like I hesitate on doing that because of how I will be perceived. It's slowing my art because of my concern of other people's perception of me. And that's maybe something I would really like to look at. And so that's what I did with it.
Well, I appreciate that input and it means a lot. I'm going to definitely go down some roads with this. But first, I want to hear from our lovely Hannah Rose. Hannah Rose from The Sound Within. I know you have a different perspective on this. What is your take on this?
Yeah, and it's not that I have a different perspective. It's just more so I've never really thought so much into it. Mostly because we have been programmed to believe these things that society has placed upon us, especially as women, that we are supposed to be perceived a different way. Uh, Always supposed to be put together and have on a pretty dress, but not too short, but not too long, and have our makeup done and be sweet and feminine and not masculine in any way. And so that's probably why I've never really brought my attention to it more so specifically in this stage of my life, I should say, because I have been sexualized a lot in my life, not in my childhood, which I know a lot of people have dealt with. I just felt like making that known more so in my young adult years. And I guess even being a teen, I was sexualized by grown men, which is just sickening. Um, to know that that's what people like are young women with young features. It just kind of makes me sick because I have two daughters myself, and I would hate for my kids to be perceived that way at any stage of their life. Um, and for me, I think that I get not so much of, I haven't yet been restricted for sexual content or anything like that. But I do know that the intentional breathing that I do on my streams are often saw that way. So not necessarily me, but what I'm practicing. And people will say things like, "Oh, my wife thought I was watching this," or my friend heard this, and or my roommates are going to think something crazy is going on in here. And it kind of just puts a bad taste in my mouth
Mm.
that somebody would try to make something so freeing and beautiful and something that we do innately to live. Every second of our existence, we're breathing. And then I'm sitting for a few moments to honor that and show someone else how to. And it's being perceived as something nasty and sexual. And it's just like I said, a dishonor to the practice. And a lot of the time when I am dealt things like that, inside I really am frustrated and I want to just kind of scream and say, no, this is not what that is. Like, what's wrong with you? But on the outside, I'm just like keeping my composure and also telling myself that I need to have compassion for the person that is saying these kind of things, because this is something that has obviously been programmed into them as well. And what are we trying to do by self-expressing in this way is inspire others to also, break out of that mold. And so for me, a lot of the time when I'm dealt with things like that, I kind of just show them compassion and laugh it off and say, hey, I'm glad that you're here. This is not what that is, but I'm still glad that you're here and I'm glad that I could share this with you. 9 times out of 10, the trolls are like, wow, this person was kind to me in the face of negativity. And usually they'll come back into my lives later on and say, wow, this is so wholesome. Like, thank you for holding this space for me. And it might just plant the seed in their head, like, maybe I shouldn't hop into people's streams looking for a reaction, because that's a lot of the time what it is for, is a reaction.
I can't.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lizzie.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you sure? Okay. Yeah, because I have a lot of things spinning around in my head concerning this, because I could take it from a male point of view. Like I said, I have no problem with locker talk. Do it all the time. It's not anything I think that should be, taken away from people, because I don't believe in censorship. I believe we should all speak freely. However, again, I'm going to say there's a time and a place for this. To bring another example, I follow someone also on TikTok who actually works with sexual magic. And she's much more classier, and it's something and it costs a whole lot, like $3,000 for her program. But the thing is, she's working with sex magic. She's a burlesque dancer as well. She takes a lot of pride in what she does. Then, if any guy wants to probably reach out and see all the other stuff, believe me, it's out there. But to be so desperate to go into just random feeds and start with the sexual nonsense. From a guy's point of view, I'll tell you one thing. The guys that talk like that a lot are the ones who aren't even dealing with any of that. Never gotten any before in their life. That's exactly what's going on with that. Take it from me. But it also shows a real desperation too, as well, on a male's point. Not only sometimes so much the sexuality, but when they're reaching out constantly out of desperation. Oh my God, I wish I had a girl. I'm so lonely. And dude, time and a place for everything. Nobody, and I don't want to sound like cruel or anything, like saying I don't care, but honestly, you need to help yourself. Nobody's going to help you with that. Nobody's going to say, oh, I feel so bad for you. I'm going to go out with you now, So this is why I'm on such a kind of rampant, discussion about this, because like I said, it's taking away a lot of positive energy that goes around. And because whoever's watching this for whatever you are doing on your streams, it's being taken away because it's an interference. It's an outside interference that you got to kind of deal with. And like you said, yes, some people are handling it really well, and that's great. But there's some people that are just looking at like, dude, why do we have to be so desperate? Why do you got to put that in every single person's feed? Why do you have to, express yourself that way? Now I'm going to present a couple things. Like, for one, I don't think sexuality until, like, if you are looking at someone and you're saying, well, they're a beautiful person. Well, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But to come out and express it in such a negative, vile way, that's what's kind of bothersome. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I would say it's about the tone.
Yes.
So here's the thing. Bodies are their artwork. Bodies are beautiful. And sex is a beautiful art form. As somebody who's also dabbled with sex magic before, it is such a powerful and beautiful thing. But the more powerful something is, the more it can be used incorrectly, right? And with sex as an energy form, sex is almost the same as like creative energy as well as healing energy. When you get down to the core, those three are almost the same. And when people want to talk about all the systems, the powers that be trying to oppress us, what a better way to do it than to, one, take away that power and wrap it in a bunch of shame and desperation and all of that. And two, separate the two types of people who can come together. And this isn't anything about gender, like you can be whatever gender and harness whatever energy, but you separate them from being able to come together in a wholesome and loving and just coherent way to express this and create all of this like beautiful energy and beautiful healing. And in one little fell swoop, you just wrapped it all in shame, separated it, quieted, made it a power struggle, and made every little tiny little bit about it weird. Now it's separated, and it's something that each person throughout their life has to slowly like regain back that personal power that they had. And
That's
so, right. No,
sorry. I was just going to say, that's just to kind of add to what you were saying, that's a lot of the reason that the majority of people, I'm not speaking for everybody, but I know that a lot of people experience a blockage in their sacral energy center, which is right below the belly button and above your no area. And so a lot of people, if they're like breathing into that area especially like with the intentional breath that I practice, people are thinking that feeling that they're getting in that area is always urge to exchange sex energy. And that's not always what it is. Sometimes it's just a feeling of, like you said, healing and creativity and flow, which is what that energy center holds power wise. And so for people to create such a shameful, fearful image of tapping into that part of us, it really is just kind of disturbing, especially because it's how we all came to be. It's how our children came to be. It's how we came to be. And it's not something gross, but like Gary said, there's a time and place for it all. And read the room. Some people don't want to exchange sexual energy with you.
Yeah, some things are just thoughts, you know.
Which is okay.
You don't need to put them on people's, what are we teaching children now? Don't comment on people's bodies, right? Like it's just, unless somebody says, hi, look how sexy I am. Like maybe you don't need to point out your thoughts about their body. Maybe they don't need to know about that. You know what I mean? And it can be from like a sexual harassment mindset, but also even a lot of people have body image issues. I had a baby last year. I've lost 100 pounds in like a year because I just gained like this crazy amount of weight with her. And everybody's complimenting on me on how good I look now. And it's like, well, I thought I looked good then, but thanks,
yeah.
I guess.
And so then now you have a distorted way that you look at yourself because somebody made that one comment like, oh,
yeah,
you look so good now. It's like,
right.
now.
So now I'm trying to put weight back on because my clothes don't fit, and that's annoying. And I just don't want to have to eat 70 times a day to be satisfied. But now I'm putting on weight, and my brain has a thought because of years of dieting about like, oh, but I don't look as good as I did before. And then I'm like, what did I just like that thought? Like, did I not process this like years ago? But it's like the little things that people comment. Sometimes maybe you just don't need to comment on people's bodies.
Yeah, and both of you have made some really good talking points. Like, and picked out a couple things. Like, one, this isn't just a male female thing. Could be females are doing the same thing to men as well.
Yes.
And not as often, but it is done where men are sexualized. Many years ago, I had a short-term relationship based where the girl was like worshiping the ground. I was like overly sexualized. I mean, it was repulsive. It really was. Then I'm just going to put this out there because it really fits into the whole subject. When we are making comments on people's bodies and whatever, like you said, it's shaming, it's body shaming and whatnot, or it's just making you uncomfortable, whatever. But I'm going to tell you something. I don't know how many years ago, but this is going back to a previous marriage. My previous wife and I went on vacation for 1 week. I wish I was on vacation right now. Instead, I'm in my car. But anyway, no, we went to a nudist resort, and we did it just because it was one of those things we just wanted to try. Once you get there, the perspective of it, especially when you're first walking in, and everybody, even the employees and all, are just nude. The very first thing you realize, there is nothing sexual about it. It is so natural. And the one thing, after 1 week of looking at people of every shape, size, race, no matter what it is, you see every flaw, every scar, everything. There is no shame. There is no shame anywhere. Nobody can judge you when you're both looking at each other completely nude. You can't say, oh, your clothes aren't expensive enough. Oh, you're not wearing the right shoes or whatever. And you can't say anything about a person's body because now yours is exposed and my flaws were exposed as well. And I thought it was so liberating to be in a community like that, to where zero shame in what is just so extremely normal and natural. And it was just, there was the entire time there, we seen absolutely nothing at all sexual. Not that we were going there looking for that, but it puts you in a whole nother mindset. And after that experience, that's when I said, people's bodies are their bodies. We own this. We own this meat bag that we are in. It's our souls that are inside that means more than anything else. No matter what we look like physically, should never be judged by anybody else. That's just my, standpoint. And that's why it just irritates me somewhat when I'm watching, whether it be a TikTok live or just a person in the street, where they're being overly sexualized just because, well, maybe this is a social norm, which it shouldn't be. Maybe we should be changing that social norm. But for so long, I think it's been ingrained in mostly males' heads because, let's face it, females really haven't had much as far as like their voting rights and everything else. It's only been a short time that, women were allowed to work and everything else. So we're still progressing with this. But again, it's not so much just a male-female thing. It goes across all genders and all types of sexual relationships, bi, gay, everything else, where people are just overly sexualizing normal things, regular things, whether they're doing it just for shock value or they're doing it because they're completely lonely and they have no idea what anything's about. It's almost getting to the point, I don't know how to express this enough other than to have this topic on this episode, hearing it from two separate points of views as well as mine. So I just want to leave it at that. And please join in with anything else you might have to add to that.
I was actually thinking earlier about the topic that we were going to be covering, and I was thinking, I mean, if it was up to society's norm, we would, every woman would be in a cloak. But men are allowed to walk around with their shirts off and their nipples out, and that's fine. But if a woman were to do that, like, oh my, like how could she, like what are people going to think, and things like that. So it's also the double standards that we have to look at as well. If a woman can't walk around with her shirt off, then maybe a man shouldn't either. But instead of thinking like that, maybe we should just all walk around with our shirts off.
Did you know that in countries that have the most standard covering, the more oppressed bodies are, the higher rates of assault are? Like standard, like 1-to-1, like you can go across, Google it, do your own research. The more oppressed a person's body, the more you shame a person's body, the more it is stigmatized, the more it's focused, and the more it creates this crazy thing. And so the thing is if people feel this way, if they really want to change it, they don't have to be on TikTok like that lady doing the stretches. Like, I'm going to get that cool one day to be able to do it. But you have to kind of step outside your norm. Me, a few years ago, would not wear a crop top or a sports bra and jump on my bed on the video. That would be inherently way too sexual of an act, right? But that really, again, messes with your artwork. And I think that you should be able to just be. So in 2019, I was a little bit of a functional alcoholic, and something that I did was I just kind of quit wearing pants. And when you came over to my house, it was a standard joke that if you came over and Lizzie had been drinking, she probably wasn't wearing pants. But the thing is we were all adults, and it created an environment where a lot of times other people took their jeans off because I was freaking uncomfortable, and we're all just painting. It's nothing sexual. We're not doing anything weird. I just didn't want to wear my pants, you know? And I created that safe space because it was in my own home, so I could do that. And I'm not saying people have to have pantsless parties, but it invited a lot of my friends to view their own bodies, other people's bodies, sex as a whole. We cover our bodies until we get old enough to start having sex. So why would we view bodies as anything other than inherently sexual? We don't have statues of naked bodies anymore in town square that we're looking at. You know what I mean? It is just sex. That's what the body is limited down to. And I think that takes away a lot of experience of life.
Yeah. And now, Lizzie, I'm gonna put this one on to you, and because it's directly relating to you, and I think you would have much to say about this. Right now, 2025, the 21st fucking century, right? Why do we discourage, shame females for breastfeeding in public?
Because bodies are inherently sexual. Men, okay, just as a standard stereotype, I mean, all people, but we'll just use men because that's kind of what we're angling at by accident here anyway. So I'll just lean into it. A lot of people have mother wounds. A lot of people were taken off of the breast too early. They were put in the bed in the other room. All of these things that accidentally create separation wounds, right? Now you get older, and what happens when you have a mother wound and you get married? You place it on your wife or every other woman out there. There's actually a thing that they're finding in psychology where when you get married or have a baby or whatever, and you start viewing your spouse and they become a different person, it actually causes a repulsive reaction in a lot of people who have mother wounds, and they have to mentally process their mother wound in order to re-find their spouse attractive. And so there's all these things that are going on the subconscious behind the scenes level in people's brains, but all they feel is they see a boob and they go, that's sexual, and a baby, and that doesn't belong together. Oh my God, why are you presenting me with this horrible thing? When the lady's just trying to feed her baby, like, you're the one making it weird. But when we have a culture where she's the weird one because bodies are sexual first, everything else is second, and she's the problem, this stereotype perpetuates. So I breastfeed, and I've always breastfed in the open. My family, they all breastfed. It was just kind of a thing. They were a lot more covering with it, but I was around because I was the girl. And so I saw it so much. So when I started breastfeeding, I just did it openly. And, honestly, I've never gotten a reaction on that one, surprisingly. I see all the time on social media and stuff. And maybe it's like where I live, or maybe it's just my inherent reaction about it. But like, it's people just don't care as much as maybe in some other places.
Well, that's good, actually. That's showing some signs of improvement, because I said I can't believe that that is such an issue, because we'll sit and look at any other mammal in a zoo and we'll watch them, feeding their young and all. But when it comes to our own bodies, our own human cells, suddenly it's an issue. I just never understood that. But I appreciate your input on that. It really takes it from a whole nother perspective. But I just want to, like I said, wanted to get this topic out there because it is something that is becoming, I think, a little bit more frustrating now from a human perspective. We can no longer just be ourselves without somebody else perceiving us in another way. And I want to take this down another angle because I spoke to Hannah about this earlier, and I know there's something else. When it comes to your feeds and what you're doing on your TikTok lives, the thing that was bothering you most is some of the comments that really were hurtful as far as, well, I'll let you explain it, Hannah.
Okay. Yeah, there's been a couple. See, and I feel very I feel very good about the kind of audience that I have on my streams. I I say it all the time because I don't get as many weird comments as I would have thought that I would be getting. Like when I started this, I thought that I would get a lot more of what we've been discussing today. But the amount of support and love that is spread in my streams, not just between me and the viewers, but between the viewers themselves too, like creating a community within the stream and making connections, and which is really why I do what I do, is for the connection and building community. But every now and again I'll get some comments. Somebody once told me that I was lazy because I said that I normally take my kids to school and then I come home and take a nap after. And they say that's what I call lazy. And it's just like that's just another society ideal that we're all supposed to be working 9 to 5 jobs and not have time for pleasure and enjoyment.
Will also be a sex object for the men in your life,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that too. Because that's like the expectation of a woman typically. Uh, so for me, a lot of the time when people say things like that, it just throws me back, because I see a lot more people today in today's age stepping out of that norm and like kind of breaking free from it. And a lot of people are starting their own businesses and just following their passion. Even if it doesn't pay all the bills, people are just taking that leap. And I think eventually if we all take that leap together, we can just form a new type of society and community amongst all of us humans, not just one part of the world. But I also get comments sometimes, like, asking if I showered, because it's like, people people think of a hippie and they normally think that, like, we don't shower and stuff like that. I only shave my armpits and my legs maybe like once a month. And it's with an electric shaver. Like I don't, and I'm going to be honest, when I was a bit younger, I would shave every time I got in the shower to make sure that there was not even a hair on my body, like, because that's seen as gross and
Shame.
disgusting. But it's not. It's our bodies. This is the true raw version of me. I'm not going to dishonor it by taking a hacksaw to it every day. And I think sometimes people are just so caught up in what a woman is supposed to be like, what a person is supposed to be like. And again, we're not meant to be born into this world to just to feel shame and fear every day of our lives and conform to the robot herd that we've been made into. I don't really even have the words to explain what I'm trying to give off right now because it's just so unbelievable, I guess, how humans are viewed, how we came to view each other. Animals don't wear clothes. Animals just run free and do their own thing. They're not working 9-to-5 jobs in an office with glasses on. Like, if they're blind, they're blind. They're just running through the woods trying to catch their prey. So I think we just need to take a little advice from the wild animals of the world.
No, I totally agree. I actually have kind of a funny story for that. So, as a massage therapist, I used to trade with other people at the job that I worked at. And one time I just was busy. I just hadn't shaved my legs or armpits. But we're massage therapists. We touch bodies all the time. It's not like a big deal, right? But like, she shamed me about it behind my back in the break room to my coworkers. And I got so upset about that. I had this like utter refusal of shaving my body for the next several months. And I was going to go back there and she was going to have to rub my hairy legs.
Oh my God. But she's gonna have to braid them now.
I'm like, yeah, I know. Right? No, I calmed down, obviously, because I'm not really a spiteful person. It's just kind of my reaction sometimes. But what happened was because I wasn't shaving, now all the people in my family are like, are you okay? Like, well, I've never seen armpit hair on you. And it was like, and I'd get comments from people. I won't say who said this, although I tease him about it. But he basically told me I'd never get a man like that. And he meant it so lovingly, like trying to help me here. It's this poor single mom, right? And I was just like, well, maybe if my armpit hair stopped me from getting a man, maybe that's not the kind of man that I'd want to be with.
Or maybe that's like why I have armpit hair. Maybe I want to scare the men away because we're terrified.
That's what I'm saying. And so there was this like look across his face, and I was watching everybody having to face this part of themselves they never even considered as they're all also shaving every day. My hairy armpits, my hairy legs became like this rebellious act of feminism that I didn't mean it to be, but now I think 4 years into it and I can't shave my armpits now. It's like I'm too far deep into it.
This is actually not dishonoring our feminine features, but honoring them and not feeling shame around a normal thing, body.
Yeah, I guess rebelling against the wounded feminine.
Yes.
Because the divine feminine is hairy. You know what? She gets hair on her chin because of the hormone changes of the phase in her life she's in. You know what I mean? And we're all still plucking everything and trying to pretend we don't also grow 5 o'clock shadows sometimes,
Yeah.
Just like, don't look at my stretch marks. Don't look at any of these things that naturally occur. And, as a massage therapist, I do have a unique perspective because everybody wants to apologize about their bodies because of the weight they have, the cellulite. People will point out their flaws to me because they want it known that they're aware of this flaw they have. But it's like if 40% of the women in your age range who are on my table have this flaw, is it a flaw? Or is that just part of a human body?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I'm going to throw this huge monkey wrench into this. I shave my fucking underarms. I shave my body hair. and only because I grow hair every fucking place except on my head. So I always thought, hey, maybe if I shave everywhere else, it'll start moving up to my head. But this is the thing. Who cares what anybody does? It's their personal choice on that.
Yeah. You feel comfortable with it. If it's something that makes you feel better, then I don't think there's any shame in that. The reason why I don't is because it's less work for me. I don't have to do that chore all the time. For you, Gary, you probably feel more comfortable, not having that body hair, where you shave at your armpits and whatnot. And there's no shame in that because we're all, like you said earlier, we're a meat bag, which I don't really like that term. It's kind of sounds just like nasty to me, but I would more so say vessel. And so, like, if we can't feel safe in where our souls are resting, our vessel, then why are we here? we have to feel comfortable to an extent so that we can live a content and comfortable life. But a lot of people aren't comfortable in their own bodies. A lot of the time, am not comfortable in my own body. And I think that's an issue that probably every person possibly has at times. Not everyone feels zen 24/7. Even the most wise spiritual teacher is going to still experience human emotions and feelings.
Yeah. Go ahead, Lizzie.
I was just gonna say, and I think that that's a lot of it is we kind of energetically step out of our bodies with these emotions, the way we feel about our bodies, the way we feel about the sensations in our bodies. We kind of disassociate. Something that I do when I'm working with people energetically is I'll tell them to stand in the bathroom naked in front of the mirror and just look at themselves for 60 seconds, letting their thoughts think whatever they think. And you would not believe most of the people I try to give this practice to will not do it. And we have to go a roundabout way through journaling, and it takes forever to process these things they feel about themselves because they can't simply just look at their body. That is too much of an experience for them. And I think that says a lot about how they feel about their vessel. They're moving their soul around. And if you feel that way about your body, even when you cover it, how are you moving through life and interacting with these other people wrapped in all of that shame? It really, really affects people a lot more than they realize. I want to lose weight. And that's all that they can focus on when it's all the shame and stuff underneath it. I've gained and lost so much weight in my life, and it's never actually affected how I felt about my body. Even when I've lost weight, any shame I had, it was still there. It was a completely separate processing of it to get rid of that. And I wish people could kind of just love themselves more.
That's beautiful. And not only that, but with the thought, what you're talking about is just looking in the mirror and thinking any thought that comes up and just allowing it to happen instead of just a lot of people include me, myself included, if something comes up that I'll try to swallow it. But then you're hanging on to that and carrying it with you everywhere you go. Every time you look in the mirror now, you're going to think that. But if you just really look at yourself and face yourself and allow and know that your logical mind is there to create thoughts and scenarios and all of these different options, that could happen. So not every thought that you think is what you really feel about yourself. It's just a thought. So if you take away that power that it has over you by speaking it and saying it and just releasing that, I think a lot of people can feel some relief from that.
Yeah, the thing is before you can love something, you have to accept something. I tried the body positivity when I first was presented this exercise. What I was told was to stand in front of the mirror and look for 3 things you love about yourself. Well, guess what? I couldn't think of one goddamn thing. How was that supposed to be a helpful experience for me? But years later, something I came across was like, okay, you can't love your body, but can you accept it? And I was like, you know what? I can accept my wrinkly belly. I can accept my frizzy hair. I can accept my weird lazy eye that happens when I chew things. You know what I mean? I can just accept these things about myself. And then this like crazy thing happened where when I accepted it and I started moving my body because I was no longer fighting on what it looked like when it jiggled, I actually did accidentally start to love my body and my wrinkly belly. Like, I love my wrinkly belly. What a cool design that I get to wear out in the world. Like, your belly's so boring. Like, does it
Have
even
you
wrinkle?
seen those women that actually get like glitter on their stretch marks so it looks like
I
a
would do that.
tiger?
I would do that.
And fake it till you make it, just like keep telling yourself that you love yourself, you're powerful, you're beautiful in your body.
Yes. And if that is painful, just accept where you're at.
Yeah.
I don't like
Feel
what
the
I look
hurt.
like. Just saying that to yourself for a minute makes it so that when you say, I actually do like the way that this looks about me, it doesn't feel like it's like disrupting your entire system. It can just kind of like bridge you into something, you know?
Ladies, this has been an incredible conversation. Honestly, it really has. And the only reason I'm cutting it down is because I don't know if it's my internet, but it's starting to freeze up and I don't want the audience to lose out on anything that you guys are saying because everything both of you have said at this point, I have to thank you. And I want the audience to really thank you both too for being so extremely open and brave talking about something so personal, which is our own skin, our own bodies, our own vessels, our own meat bags, whatever we want to make it out to be. I want to thank you both, seriously, from the bottom of my heart. And I want everybody to tune in to Hannah Rose every Friday, The Sound Within, a fantastic podcast. Tune into all of our other podcasters that are out there. I do apologize for sitting in my car for this one, but hey, I think it worked out beautifully. This was such a great conversation. Lizzie, Hannah, thank you both so very much. And thank you, the audience, for tuning in for this. And if you want to reach out to any of us, just contact eosmeditation@gmail.com. Ask whatever you want, leave whatever comments. And if you want to speak directly to Lizzie or to Hannah Rose, let me know and I'll get you in contact with them too as well. So I thank you all so very much. I hope my internet worked perfectly for everybody. So thank you again so very much and we'll see you soon.